No one told you the truth about the next 3 days. No one warned you that September 17th, 18th, and 19th will not be normal, and yet your body will speak the truth before your mind can explain it. Unusual sensations, shifts in emotion, 9 powerful signs that the moon is stirring something hidden inside you. This isn't random. It isn't coincidence. The lunar pull in these nights is alive, magnetic, almost demanding. And when the moon moves with this force, you don't just see it, you feel it. The question is, will you ignore these signs? Because the symptoms you experience in these 3 days are not a warning. They are an awakening. So stay with me. But first, like this video, subscribe, and write 999 in the comments below. Right now, the moon is moving into a rare position, creating a surge of energy that spills directly into our lives. Think of it as a giant mirror in the sky, reflecting back everything hidden inside you. Symbolically, this phase represents awakening. Old emotions rise to the surface, not to harm you, but to be released. It's the moon shining a light on what you've kept in the dark. This energy shift doesn't just affect the tides, it stirs the tides within your body. That's why you feel sudden bursts of emotion, strange body signals, or restless thoughts. And why now? Because these 3 nights are a doorway, a chance to realign with your true path before the cycle resets again. September 17th to 19th may appear on a calendar as nothing more than dates. Yet for you, they can carry meaning far beyond the ordinary. During these nights, what you feel in your body and your emotions is not simply discomfort or coincidence. It is your inner self trying to be heard. Think of it as a mirror being held up to you, not to show what you already know, but to reveal what has been waiting underneath. The question is not whether these feelings are real. The question is whether you will pay attention to what they are trying to tell you. Every person carries weight inside them. Old conversations that still echo, dreams that were set aside, and choices that were delayed. The moon's pull makes these hidden pieces rise to the surface. Maybe you notice memories that suddenly feel sharper. Perhaps emotions you thought you buried start knocking on the door again. This is not meant to punish you. It is an invitation to finally look, to acknowledge, and to release. Imagine carrying a box that you never opened because you were afraid of what was inside. The next 3 nights act like a key unlocking that box. At first, what comes out may feel heavy, nostalgia, sadness, even sudden waves of frustration. But once it is in the open, it begins to lose its control over you. The body shows symptoms not to frighten you, but to remind you that energy must move. The impact is deeply personal. For one person, it may show up as sleepless nights, thoughts racing in circles. For another, it might be a sudden flood of creativity, a spark of inspiration that refuses to be ignored. Some may feel distant from the people around them, while others may crave connection more than ever. All of these responses are valid. They are proof that your inner world is in dialogue with the rhythm of the moon. You may ask yourself why it matters. After all, people live through many lunar phases without noticing anything at all. But awareness is the difference between drifting and directing. When you understand why you are feeling what you feel, you are no longer controlled by it. You can choose how to respond. You can decide which habits to let go of, which patterns to end, and which connections deserve more of your attention. Without awareness, you repeat the same cycles. With awareness, you step into growth. These nights remind you that the body and spirit are not separate. A restless heart can teach you more than any book. A sudden tear can reveal more than 1,000 words. The moon amplifies what you usually try to silence. This is why so many feel unsettled, because the truth is rising to the surface, and truth rarely arrives in silence. As you move through these days, ask yourself what your body is communicating. Is it asking you to slow down? Is it reminding you to release the burden of old emotions? Is it nudging you toward people and places that light you up rather than drain you? These are not small questions. They are the foundation of how you live, love, and grow. And perhaps the most important thing to remember is this: these symptoms are not a warning. They are not here to scare you or push you off balance. They are a signal that you are ready for change, even if you have avoided it until now. The moon does not wait for permission. It moves, it pulls, and it reflects. Your choice is whether you will move with it or resist and repeat. So as September 17th to 19th unfolds, don't rush to dismiss what you feel. Don't label it as random or meaningless. Instead, listen carefully. Reflect honestly and allow the signals to guide you. Because in these nights, your body is not your enemy. It is your greatest messenger. These 3 days are an open window, not the kind you simply glance through, but the kind that lets a rush of fresh air sweep across everything inside. September 17th to 19th arrive like a reminder that time is not only passing, but offering you a rare moment to choose where you want to go next. What happens around you might look ordinary: sunrise, errands, conversations. But beneath that surface, these days act like a quiet invitation to realign. Think of your life as a long road that has been paved over years of choices, habits, and reactions. You've walked it almost automatically, rarely stopping to ask whether it's still the road you want. These days are like a set of glowing streetlights appearing suddenly in the distance. They don't demand you turn, but they illuminate new paths you may have overlooked. Guidance in this sense isn't about telling you what to do. It's about pointing out what's already there, waiting for you to notice. So where does one begin when life itself feels too complex, too crowded with noise? Start small. Start with what is within reach of your hand. Your environment is a mirror of your choices. When you look around your space, the clutter on a desk, the dishes left untouched, the pile of tasks you postpone, what story does it tell? These 3 nights whisper not through cosmic thunder, but through subtle hints. Clearing a corner? Finishing something left undone, or choosing to rearrange even the smallest part of your daily world becomes a declaration. I am ready to make space for what's next. Your energy responds to decisions, no matter how small. Imagine carrying around a backpack stuffed with things you don't use anymore. Old receipts, broken headphones, worn-out notebooks. It slows you down without you realizing. Emotional and mental clutter works the same way. Every grudge, every unspoken thought, every habit that drains you is another heavy item in that bag. These days urge you to start unpacking. What's no longer serving you doesn't have to travel with you, and once you release it, you walk lighter, faster, freer. But guidance isn't only about letting go. It's also about building something stronger. Picture a house with walls that have stood for years, but with windows that never open. The air grows stale. The corners gather dust. Renewal doesn't require tearing the house down. It begins with unlocking those windows and letting something new move through. Your personal growth works the same way. You don't need to abandon everything about who you are. You only need to allow new experiences, perspectives, and practices to flow in. Practical advice here means turning insight into action. If you find yourself circling the same frustrations, ask yourself, what can be adjusted right now? Perhaps it's reaching out to someone you've avoided because of pride. Perhaps it's setting a boundary where you've been too lenient. Perhaps it's daring to say yes to an opportunity even though you don't feel fully ready. These steps may look small, but they accumulate into transformation. A single drop doesn't fill a jar, but many drops do, and one day you realize it's overflowing. Let's talk about relationships for a moment. People enter your life like books on a shelf. Some are short stories. Others are volumes that take years to finish. But not every book belongs in your current chapter. Holding on to connections that no longer support your growth is like rereading the same page endlessly. You stay busy but never progress. These 3 days shine a subtle spotlight on your connections, asking you to consider which ones enrich you and which ones drain your spark. It's not about harsh endings. It's about choosing the voices you allow closest to your heart. Your relationship with yourself deserves the same attention. Imagine talking to a friend the way you sometimes talk to yourself. Would they still trust you? Would they feel safe with you? The inner dialogue you carry shapes your choices more than you realize. If your thoughts are full of doubt, your actions shrink. If your words to yourself are encouraging, your steps expand. Practical advice here is to become conscious of your inner voice. Shift it not with empty affirmations, but with real conversations. Instead of saying, I can't, try what if I tried differently. Instead of I always fail, ask what did this experience teach me? Small language shifts ripple into major life changes. Another piece of guidance comes through the way you use your time. Hours pass whether you notice them or not, but what you do with them writes your story. Think of your day as a garden. Each choice is a seed. Some sprout into beauty, others into weeds. These 3 nights encourage you to examine what you've been planting. Are you sowing habits that lead you toward joy, learning, and connection? Or are you planting seeds of distraction, avoidance, and regret? Every hour is an opportunity to plant something intentional, and the harvest will reflect what you chose. Sometimes practical advice sounds unremarkable, but its power lies in consistency. Drinking more water, walking outside, speaking honestly, keeping promises to yourself. These are not glamorous steps, yet they anchor your energy. When the tides of life grow unpredictable, these habits become the rocks you can stand on. Stability doesn't come from control. It comes from practices that keep you steady no matter how things change. One metaphor I often return to is that of music. Imagine your life as a song constantly playing. At times it's out of tune. At times it's harmonious. These days the moon acts like a tuning fork, bringing dissonance to the surface so you can hear where the notes don't fit. Your role is not to silence the song, but to adjust the strings. What makes your song richer? What notes belong to you but have been left unplayed? Empowerment begins when you take responsibility for the melody you are creating. Another angle to consider is decision M. Many people hesitate, waiting for perfect clarity before acting. But clarity rarely arrives in full. Instead, it grows through movement. It's like driving at night with headlights. You only see a short stretch ahead. But as you move forward, the road continues to reveal itself. These days encourage you to take that first step. Even if the whole path is not visible yet, momentum itself creates clarity. What about purpose? People often search for grand missions, overlooking the power of small contributions. Imagine throwing a pebble into a lake. The ripples expand far beyond where the pebble landed. In the same way, small acts of kindness, creativity, or integrity ripple into the lives of others. Empowerment is not always about dramatic breakthroughs. It's about living in alignment with values so consistently that others can feel your presence long after you leave the room. On a more intimate level, your body's signals during these days can be treated as messengers rather than problems. When you experience an unusual surge of energy or a sudden shift in mood, ask what it might be pointing toward. Do you need to slow down? Do you need to redirect your attention? Instead of fighting these moments, learn from them. They're like text messages from your deeper self reminding you to check in. Guidance here means tuning into these subtle cues and responding with awareness. Finally, empowerment during these 3 days is about remembering your own agency. Too often we wait for external events to validate our decisions, but the truth is you are the author of your story. And these days are like bold punctuation marks urging you to write with intention. No one can tell your story for you, and no one can take away your pen unless you hand it over. Each choice, no matter how small, is another sentence, another paragraph, another chapter moving forward. So if you treat September 17th to 19th as ordinary, they will pass like any other. But if you treat them as an opening, they can become the start of something that continues long after the moon shifts again. The advice is simple. Make space. Let go of unnecessary weight. Nurture the connections that matter. And dare to take one step toward the life you've been postponing. Because empowerment doesn't arrive from the sky. It grows from the choices you plant today. When you think about the direction your life is heading, it's easy to imagine it as a map already drawn. But these 3 days are less about following a fixed route and more about realizing you can redraw the map at any time. September 17th to 19th are reminders that you are not locked into a single storyline. The roads you thought were closed may still exist if you dare to look closer. The paths you ignored may be waiting with opportunities you couldn't see before. Guidance during a time like this begins with perspective. Imagine standing on a mountain trail surrounded by fog. From where you are, it seems impossible to know where the trail bends or what lies ahead. But as you take a few steps forward, the fog shifts and pieces of the landscape begin to appear. Life operates in the same way. Certainty is rarely given all at once. It grows as you move. These days encourage you to take steps even when clarity feels out of reach. Momentum builds the view. Practical advice here is about courage in small measures. Change doesn't always arrive through dramatic leaps. More often, it comes through steady adjustments. Consider the way a river shapes a canyon. It doesn't carve the stone overnight. It flows day after day, gradually etching new forms until the landscape itself is transformed. Your choices have the same quiet power. A phone call made instead of postponed. A promise kept instead of delayed. A truth spoken instead of swallowed. These decisions ripple outward, shaping a new reality piece by piece. Relationships deserve special attention in moments like these. They are the mirrors that reveal parts of you that you might overlook. Some connections highlight your generosity, your humor, your ability to inspire. Others expose your insecurities, your impatience, or your fears. Both are teachers, but not all deserve equal space in your life. Guidance here means choosing who you allow to sit at your inner table. Do they bring nourishment or do they drain the meal? A table crowded with the wrong voices leaves little room for the ones who truly matter. And let's not forget the most intimate relationship of all, the one you hold with your future self. Imagine meeting the person you will be 5 years from now. Would they thank you for the choices you are making today? Or would they wish you had been braver, kinder, more disciplined? Every decision in these days is a gift or a burden to that future version of you. Empowerment means choosing in a way that your future self will be proud to inherit. Another layer of guidance comes through your daily rhythm. Think of it like the seasons. Nature doesn't rush from winter to summer overnight. It moves through gradual shifts. Longer days, warmer nights, subtle changes that build until the transformation is complete. Your habits work the same way. You don't need to overhaul everything in one dramatic gesture. Instead, introduce new patterns that over time reshape the entire landscape of your life. Reading a few pages each evening, setting aside moments for silence in the morning, creating rituals that remind you of what matters most. These are the seeds that turn into forests. It's also important to consider how you respond to challenge. Many people view difficulty as punishment, but another way to see it is as resistance training. A tree that grows in calm weather may look tall but weak. A tree that has stood against storms develops deep roots and resilient bark. The struggles you face during these days are not meant to break you. They are shaping you into someone who can withstand greater heights. Practical advice here is to stop asking why me and start asking what can this teach me. That shift alone turns every obstacle into a stepping stone. Think about your environment. The spaces you inhabit influence your mind more than you realize. A crowded desk can make thoughts feel scattered. A clean corner can open room for ideas to land. These 3 days are an opportunity to look at the physical spaces around you and ask, does this space reflect the life I want to live? Sometimes empowerment is as simple as opening a window, rearranging a room, or surrounding yourself with colors and objects that inspire rather than weigh you down. Let's move to purpose again, but from a new angle. Purpose isn't always discovered through grand revelations. Often it emerges through the act of service, helping others, creating something useful, sharing what you know. Think of a candle lighting another candle. The first flame does not lose its power. Instead, it creates more light. The advice here is to stop waiting for the perfect purpose to arrive. Instead, begin where you are, offering what you can. In the act of giving, your deeper path often reveals itself. Another metaphor worth holding on to is that of architecture. Imagine your life as a building under construction. Some foundations are strong, while others need reinforcement. These days give you the clarity to see where the cracks are. Maybe it's in how you care for your body, maybe in how you communicate, maybe in how you spend your resources. Guidance here means repairing the weak beams before trying to add new flaws. Stability first, expansion after. That's how enduring structures are built. Empowerment also involves recognizing patterns. You may think life keeps repeating the same lessons, but in reality, it keeps giving you opportunities to respond differently. If the same argument, challenge, or situation arises again, it's not because you're doomed to cycle forever. It's because you are being asked to choose a new response. Think of it as a test you get to retake, not a punishment you can't escape. Passing it comes not from perfection, but from responding with greater awareness each time. One of the most practical steps you can take during these days is to create anchors, simple practices that bring you back to center when life pulls you off course. It could be journaling for 10 minutes, moving your body in a way that clears your head, or taking time in nature where distractions fade. Anchors don't prevent storms, but they keep you from drifting too far. And when the current of these powerful days pulls at you, anchors are what help you stay aligned. Finally, guidance here means remembering that change is not meant to scare you. It is meant to free you. Too often we cling to the familiar even when it no longer serves us. It's like wearing shoes that no longer fit simply because they are broken in. September 17th to 19th are like trying on a new pair that actually supports your stride. At first it may feel different, even uncomfortable. But with time you realize you can walk further, stand taller, and move with ease. That is the promise of these days if you are willing to trust the process. Empowerment is not about waiting for signs to dictate your choices. It's about partnering with the signals you are already receiving. The moon may highlight the cracks, but you are the one who decides to rebuild. The energy may open doors, but you are the one who chooses to walk through them. These 3 days are a mirror, but also a call to action. Not an action fueled by fear, but one guided by clarity and courage. And when you respond, you will discover that you are stronger, wiser, and more capable than you believed. These 3 days arrive like a spark in the middle of routine, demanding to be noticed, impossible to push aside. They don't come to pass quietly, but to press you into seeing yourself with sharper eyes. The ordinary is stripped away, and what remains is an invitation. Step forward or keep circling where you've always been. September 17th to 19th. Carry the weight of possibility, not because they magically change the world around you, but because they magnify what is already stirring inside you. Thoughts you once ignored now demand action. Emotions you brushed aside rise to the surface not as burdens but as guides. It is as though life itself holds up a mirror, and in that reflection you see not only who you are but who you could become. The turning point is never about waiting for rescue. It is about recognizing that your own strength has always been the missing key. These nights whisper that it's time to make decisions, not out of fear but out of trust in yourself. You've gathered enough lessons, carried enough hesitation. The door you once thought was locked has been open all along. So here is the challenge. Walk through it. Stop doubting the timing. Stop questioning your readiness. Take the step that your future self will thank you for. The world is not asking you to be perfect, only present. These 3 days are not here to test you. They are here to awaken you to your own power. The question is no longer whether change. September 17th to 19th place you at a crossroads, not by accident, but by design. The thoughts swirling in your mind aren't random distractions. They are signals of alignment, nudging you toward choices you already know you must make. The hesitation you carry isn't there to stop you. It's a test of whether you will claim the life you imagine or keep rehearsing it in silence. The turning point always comes disguised as discomfort. You might notice your routine suddenly feels hollow. Conversations seem heavier or old distractions no longer satisfy you. That's not coincidence. It's the universe tapping your shoulder asking, will you finally listen? And if you do, you'll see that behind the discomfort is momentum waiting to carry you forward. Across these recent days, something powerful has been stirred. The 17th to 19th of September were never ordinary. They arrived with a purpose, pressing each of us to pay closer attention to the deeper current running beneath daily life. These dates carried a spark that opened the door to reflection, courage, and renewal. The heart of the message has always been clear. Transformation doesn't come from waiting. It comes from stepping forward. The events surrounding these nights have amplified what has long been within you: strength, clarity, and a call to trust the direction your spirit has been pointing. Each hesitation was challenged, each doubt illuminated. And in that challenge lies the opportunity to rise stronger. Hope remains the thread running through all of this. Not blind hope, but the kind that pushes you to recognize how connected you are to the larger rhythm of life. These 3 days served as proof that the universe does not whisper without reason. What matters now is how you respond. Whether you choose to carry the inside forward or let it fade into the background. So now I ask you to share. Drop a comment about what shifted for you or what truth became impossible to ignore. Subscribe if you want to walk this path of discovery together. And share this message with someone who might need a reminder of their own strength. And stay close, because what comes next is even more compelling. The next alignment on the horizon carries lessons of its own, and I'll be here to guide you through every step of